I'm going to start this thing off with a deep breath. Join me if you'd like to relax for a second. In and out. Man, I love breathing. All right, let's do this. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time watching or listening, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Livin The Dream 506. Share it. Tell your friends about it. All that good stuff. Everything helps. So thanks at the very least for just being here. Today's guest you may know from his band The Guthries or maybe MAYS and El Torpedo. He has a new live album out now called From Burnside with Love. I've been wanting to have him on the podcast for a long time. Watch what you say. And it did not disappoint. And I really enjoyed this one, so hopefully you do too. Please give it up for MAYS. So, MAYS, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm actually well, that's right there. Okay. I'm good. Like today's feels like it's 20 degrees and sunny out in Toronto. I've just it's just really helped with my mood a lot. The weather's been great the last few days, and it's sort of warm and not even a chill in the air. It's kind of got that Ontario balminess already. Just it's been great. I'm sure there'll be another snowstorm before April, but it's been good. I got up this morning and went for a run at about 7, and then ran a bunch of errands and fixed my fence. And I'm just sort of I feel like I'm kind of snapped back to life a bit today. It's been great.
You say you're in Toronto?
Yeah.
So how are things?
Oh, they suck. They suck. I mean, you have to, it's been a learning curve to sort of, you have to really kind of, our wings have been clipped so extensively that we've, you really have to find solace and happiness within, your small enclosure or, we can't go out anywhere, can't visit, my folks, they live, an hour away, and I haven't hugged my mother in a year. It's it's very strange being in the sort of the heart of it. But that being said, I always try to look at the positive end of things, and it's been I feel like I'm a completely different person since I was a year ago. I've really reflected a lot and really pushed my mind and my body pretty hard in the last year, and try to take advantage of the weirdness and the different sort of scope on life, I guess. So it's I think in a few years, hopefully when things are a little more back to normal, look back on it like this is a bit of maybe a blessing in disguise in some ways, maybe selfishly. I mean, I know it's a lot of badness and obviously it comes from something like a global pandemic. But again, like I say, I try to look on the bright side.
Right. So when you say you pushed yourself, what kind of things are you talking about?
Well, things like, with my mind, I was going to see a therapist for, a couple of years before lockdown. It became a weekly thing, and some a real comfort in my life. So I think myself and a lot of people included, sort of when they had to stop doing that, it's you really notice it. It's incredible. It's sort of little things that you kind of work out every week kind of build up and things. So I really tried to sort of deal with those with exercise and meditation and just a lot of reflection, I guess, but just being aware of it and being trying to be present and not let it get ahead of me. And it's also hand in hand with exercise. I feel like that's why I have to, like, I don't want to run in the mornings. I hate it, but I do it. I don't do it for my body. I do it for my mind. It's like my janky ass knees hurt, and it's like, but when I don't do it, I really notice. So, and they go really hand in hand. So they're just, it's sort of, my friend Tyler Messick told me once, so, a healthy body is a healthy mind. It sometimes works that way. And so yeah, I think I've been just trying to be really aware of it and not let it get a hold of me. I'd go 2 months at a time without drinking anything, and then I'd sort of let go of that, and then try to just be that was a slippery slope, and then just drinking too much wine every night, and then it's like, okay, so really trying to learn my limits there too, which is always an ongoing battle when you don't really have a job.
Right.
But all those little things, I think, like I said, that sort of collectively, and I mean, I can go into detail on all of them, but I think collectively, it's definitely made me a better person, and living close quarters with people, and realizing how annoying I can be and why, and really trying to work on those things as well, I guess.
So what else did you do with your time? Like, I'm sure you're doing a lot of writing and shit like that.
Yeah, this time last year, I just got up. This is when it, exactly a year ago is when we were like, holy shit, this is like real.
Yeah.
There was a day where it's like, we heard about this like bug in the wet market, and then a few weeks later, it's like in Toronto, and it's real. And I just retired to my garage every day with this makeshift little studio, and I just started writing songs because I didn't know what else to do. And I think it was an outlet for my anxiety, and I did a record called Dog City, and I just started writing Dog City almost exactly a year ago, and I wrote 12 songs in about 3 weeks, and then released them right away. And it was I felt like a real accomplishment for me, because normally it takes me about 4 years to get a record out and done. I finished the record in a few months, but it takes me about 3 years to get the balls to put it out, and then start over. So Dog City was really, I was proud of that record, because I put it out, and it really gave me an outlet. And when it was over, I was sort of like, oh geez, what's going on? But other than that, I've just been writing songs a lot, and I work there's a studio, luckily, that I've got keys to, where it's safe for me to go and work every day. Not every day, but quite often. And yeah, and there's also a lot of time that was just blank, where I had to make a decision how to use it. And it was a lot of tricky times. And I mean, I think just in the last few months, like January, February, it was pretty dark because we were locked down here, and it was just like cold and miserable and nothing to do. And it was just, I wasn't really feeling inspired. So it was like, but I knew spring was coming, and there's talk of vaccinations. And so I think that's why today was so glorious, because it was sunny, and friends of mine's parents are getting their vaccinations already, and it's all, it's starting to sort of feel a lot better.
Yeah, the first sort of sense of normalcy starting to come with I noticed the same thing, and a lot of people are kind of posting about it. It's I think I saw somebody say, if you've ever doubted seasonal depression being real, just take a look at how many people are posting about 10-degree weather.
Yeah, totally. 10 degrees, and we'll be complaining about that in September,
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny how we do it. We'll be putting on like the warm sweater in like September and sweating.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100%. It's insane. I'm a big color guy. I love bright colors, and I wear rose-colored glasses on gray days, and it helps me. I really believe in seasonal, anything sort of seasonal, alongside with any sort of mood disorder. I think it's a definite affiliation to a lot of things. We associate color to always good, bright, awesome things, right? From the age of having young birthday parties and awesome balloons and any grayness. Usually, maybe when we were kids, everybody around us was kind of bummed out. And so, it's just, we just associate, color with great and gray with, shittiness. And so it's just like clockwork. Everybody, I went and got coffee today, and everybody was so nice. Everywhere I went today, everybody's just like, oh, it's just so, it's and all the little trickle down effects are all working full on. So now there's this big river of happiness in Toronto, which is not always the case here. So it's been great, man.
That's good. Yeah, I remember like my first exposure to that theory was, I'm trying to think if I was still in high school, but hearing that the color green sparks creativity, and like a lot of artists, cool. I remember hearing artists tend to have their workroom be green walls and things like that. So I remember being exposed to that idea early on, and always thinking like, well, if you're going to write something, maybe that's why a lot of people like to write in nature, because just the green, just straight up the color green triggers that something in your brain.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, other than like sky blue, it's probably one of the only other real dominant colors that we've seen, maybe goes way back. I've sort of I thought everybody was sort of, it's the synesthesia. It's like, when you relate colors to everything, I have to my mind sort of relates colors to everything. So everybody's name has a color, and music, chords, and notes, and it's really intricate in my brain. Letters, numbers, everything has a color. And so I think that's why when I don't see everything's all gray, I'm too dependent on my mind colors, and it's exhausting, and in turn sort of maybe adds some depression. But it's a pretty awesome thing. Just like, that's why I think like Harvey's is orange, because it makes people hungry.
Yeah. I remember hearing like tie colors too, something about like a red or a purple tie displays dominance or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah.
That's weird.
Interesting. Yeah, it's weird stuff. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's,
Well, you said like you relate a lot of things to color. Do you have a specific example? Like your music, is there a color or like something specific that you maybe see all the time?
Yeah, I mean, like with songs, because everything is like it's weird, because it goes in great detail to the point where I sometimes couldn't paint it, or even like the more I know somebody, and everything they say has a color, and it adds to, maybe, I guess, their painting is the simplest way to put it. It's like, so people I know really well, or somebody I just meet, it's just, they say, somebody named Stacy, S is red and T is yellow, and so I just sort of put like a color to the name, and then everything they say, or a moment we had, or whatever, it just becomes more and more intricate. So say my folks are just, I've known them for my whole life, so it's just this really intricate, ornate, sort of 4-dimensional thing. But say like a song like Tall Trees started out kind of brown, because the G is brown in my head, and then the riff gets a bit blue, and so every time I play it, I still see that. And then there's the bridge is sort of white and blue. It's like, but I see that every time I play it in my head or whatever, without just visualizing it or thinking it. It's there. It's really weird, man. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, but it makes you really bad at math, I've read, which has made me happy, because I failed like trucker's math when I was in I remember I got a 52% in math in grade 12. My parents took me up to Swiss Chalet for celebration. That's how bad at math I was, and they all make sense now. but I was going extra help like every lunch hour just to get that passing mark, and I barely made it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I remember seeing an article one time. It was somebody with synesthesia, and they were an artist, and I think they painted a bunch of Radiohead songs. Like they would listen to the song and paint what they saw, and it was pretty fucking cool.
That's cool. Maybe I should try that sometime. I always feel like it's like, it's so weird, because there's some things I don't think I could even paint. I can see them, but I couldn't use primary colors to do it. It was so weird. It's beyond color sometimes, but it's still tones. It's very strange.
No, I understand. I've had some experiences that were beyond color. It's
a spectrum that I think everybody has a little bit of, and I think some people have it very minimal, and then other people's have it way more extreme than I do. But yeah, I think it's maybe one of those things that I think a lot of children have and grow out of as they mature or whatever. But I don't know. It's sort of, I've heard too that children all have perfect pitch. This, I don't know if this is a fact or not, but I think I've heard it a few times. All children have perfect pitch. That's why, children's choirs are always so beautiful, because there's no wonky out of tune notes or whatever. And as you age and don't, keep singing or whatever, you lose your pitch. So just people just start getting super wonky as they grow older. I think that would have happened to me because I had a bit of a wonky voice in high school. And few people told me that, and they're like, you should just get somebody to sing your songs, and I was like, no. So I just kept singing and singing and singing and singing, and I kind of think I just kept it around while I was losing it. So I think if I didn't keep singing, I would probably have really bad pitch now. And I think every time I'm singing live, I'm constantly correcting. Like, I'm not like a super natural singer. I listen to recordings, and I'm like, for live shows, and I'm like, you can hear me like adjusting all the time. I think it's like a lot of mental adjustment. It's not just like singing, I think that's going through puberty. I developed honed those skills to, like stealth bombers aren't naturally able to fly. There's all these computers that are correcting all the time. I think that's what my voice is like. I'm not a natural singer. I really have to work at it.
It's funny you mentioned that, hearing about kids having perfect pitch until a certain period in their life, because I think I've heard the same thing. And it's like, the age 7 sticks out to me as if like someone, I know I read this somewhere, that if you practice the pitch from like up until 7 and continue to practice it from there, you can kind of keep it. And like you said, it's one of those things where if you build it to that point, you can keep it. But if you don't, you kind of lose that ability.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's like anything else. Like with, I think a lot of like really great athletes are so great because they were playing right through and their muscles developed. For hockey or whatever, they just, they're able to take a year off playing hockey and they come right back and their bodies will, they'll be able to play a full game probably. Whereas say me, I'd be probably dead on the ice within, 2 minutes of jumping over the boards. But it's the same thing with singing, you use it or lose it kind of thing. But it's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah. Just 1 second. My fireplace fan is tinging. I don't know if you can hear that.
No,
it's got
not
a
at
fan.
all.
It's like ting, 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 ting. You can't hear that?
I've been dealing with a bathroom fan trying to do. I just replaced the motor in my bathroom fan, and it's getting it level to work smoothly. It's one day I got it working, and then I wake up the next day and I can hear somebody going there, and I'm like, just like that one. That's the kind of stuff that's driving me nuts these days.
So you got a new album too. It's a live album, From Burnside with Love. What is that all like old songs? What is that album?
Yeah, I wanted to do sort of like a collective sort of, I've had like 7 albums done in the last 20 years, and I wanted to just do kind of like a bit of a best of that's not just like a playlist on Spotify. So it was my manager's idea actually to do it live, and just to do it well. We recorded the sound pretty hi-fi, and we had like 9 cameras and a really great director, Joel Stewart. I met Joel when I was in the Guthries in '99 when they shot CMT shot a documentary on my band back then, the Guthries. So he came back. We haven't worked together in ages, which is great. So he directed it. Anyways, we wanted it to be a pretty high quality show, kind of Austin City Limits meets Unplugged kind of thing. We shot it kind of 90s-y, which I really like. And so 24 songs, some deep cuts, most of them people know, mixed with the deep cuts, and we did like a sort of a pay-per-view ticketed show, and the vinyl just came out a couple weeks ago, and it was nice we filmed it 2 years ago, and we were just sort of sitting on it. We didn't know what to do. We just wanted to do it, so we filmed it, kept it in the can, and then COVID hit. whatever, year and a half after. And then we were like, well, this might be a perfect time, because everybody was sort of getting sick of the, appreciative still, but I think a little bit sick of the living room, one camera, here's my concert, which I was doing a lot of. But I think people were sort of like, okay. So I felt lucky to have that Burnside show in the can, because instead of one camera, there's 9 cameras and, professionally mixed and, like a real thing. So it was really, really great timing for that. And it was really special night when felt like I was playing a show. It was weird. I was like nervous, even though I didn't have to play a show that night. It's pretty cool to even get those. I miss those feelings, like show days,
Yep.
So it was pretty cool. So I'm proud of myself for getting, an original new album done, like Dog City, and then releasing the triple live album. It was great. So I feel like, trust me, there was a lot of sweatpant Netflix watching this year, but I feel good about getting some stuff, out and done.
Definitely. So you've already done a quarantine album, you got the live album. So what's on the go now? Are you just writing and waiting for things to open up, or do you have a plan?
I've been hell bent on not letting COVID stop awesome things that need to happen. And I think music is an essential service. It's at the bottom of the list of essential service, but I think it is still an essential service. And that's why we fought hard to do our annual Shore Club shows last year, which we've been doing for this will be the 16th anniversary of the first Shore Club show. Anyways, it's a real important gig for us. But we made it happen. Album wise, I have to go in quarantine Nova Scotia for 14 days before I do anything. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it safely where I'm like Bubble Boy and my band can come, and there's no way I could even be in the same room with them, but I can see them and we have the same mix, and I can control the same console that they can if they want to. So I'm trying to work out a way where I can be in quarantine and record a record with my band, because I'm going to be coming back quite a bit this summer. So I had to do 2 quarantines last year. It almost killed me. It's a test,
Right.
So it would be nice to just, do 2 weeks where I'm just working with my band every day. They go home, they come back, and we're not even in the same, I'd love to hug them, but right now I think that's still technically illegal, and I want to be really above board on it all. And but if it's like 2 separate addresses, I'm like looking into duplexes, and like banging a wall out, so I'm technically 2 addresses, totally want the Mounties to come and check it out and be like, look, I'm living out, I want a bed in there and a sink and a pisser, and then I'm good. Nobody's going to come close. So we're trying to figure out how to do that right now. Because I want to get a record done soon, just so that hopefully when things open up, I'll have some new music and try to get some new songs out there. Because I got so many songs, and if I don't start releasing them, it's gonna start feeling pretty like, okay, man, So that's the plan. Yeah, just get a record done with the guys.
How did the original 14-day quarantine? Like, you did one back in August, I think. I remember you posting about that. You came back and had to quarantine 14 days, and you were talking about just kind of writing music and taking that time to something about being on sacred land or something like that.
Yeah, I was in this beautiful little spot, just inland a bit in Chester. It was this teeny little house from like 1907. It was a really old house, and I went there because they had a piano. And it was very strange because I had a piano. I rented pretty much a full little studio from Long McQuaid, because I was like, oh man, this is great. I got 2 weeks to just write and record. Nobody's going to bug me. I could just, and then I got in there, set everything up, and I was just like, this weird depression comes over you it was a beautiful spot. And it wasn't until the last 4 days when it all opened up, and I was like, because I knew there's an end to it, and I was like, I started writing, and I wrote 2 keepers, which is good. So it all wasn't all was not lost, but it was very strange because so I had all the hours in the day with all the gear sitting there. It was just sort of this deep, I could get out of bed and do things, and I was in a fairly decent mood, but there's something super dormant when it came to the creativity thing. 'Cause I felt sort of, I think trapped and just sort
Mental
of
claustrophobia.
the mental claustrophobia, and just like I'm sure like animals at zoos feel. I think that light that's not in their eyes, because they're in a cage. I think I felt like I wasn't allowed to see my home province, and I really took it personally, and just I was so pissed at COVID for taking that from me that I was just I was depressed on that. I felt that I was encaged or encased in this little spot, and that was So it was, but the second time through doing it, I had a different place on the La Have, and it was more wide open, and there was boats going by. I could see cars driving, so it was something. I didn't feel trapped there because I could go down to the water every night, and I would see fish jumping and birds, and there was a little more. I don't know. I just peripheral movement or something. So I was just really productive there. And Lowell Campbell from Winter Sleep, he's one of my best buds. He was also quarantining in Nova Scotia at the time. So it was really creative for he and I, because he would send me some drums or a song and I'd put something on it. And vice versa. I'd have the song, and it'd be great to have one of the world's best drummers just be like, check this out. And you get this like great drum track, so it was, and we were both feeling the same. So we were both, poured out of our gourd. So it was really productive. So both were very different vibes. One was in the the summer, and the other was in the fall. And that was when there was a hurricane that kind of came through. It was the first night I was there, the second one. And I did like a live stream show, which was nice. It makes you feel less alone, that sort of stuff. So again, I learned a lot about myself with all that time alone, for sure, but I do it again, and I will. Yeah, exactly. Hard not to. You don't want to be learning about yourself. You just are forced to, but I would do it again if I have to. And there's a good chance I will. Like, I don't know if we can get away with doing this quarantine album. If we do it above board, I really want to try. Because I think I need to make an album. I think there's some of my musical fam would like to hear some music, and hopefully it'll make them feel better. And that's my main reason for doing it, is the medicinal quality of it all for me, and hopefully anybody who listens and likes it. And I think it's important. So if there's a way to kind of expedite the process of not having to sit and twiddle my thumbs for 2 weeks and then record, if I can just, it's a big 2 weeks. If I can get music out when things start opening up a bit this fall or winter, it'd be great. So anyways, that's my plan. But I will quarantine for a month if I have to get another record done. I'm willing to, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. So I was talking to my friend Ashley Kinney today, and I was just mentioning that I was talking to you later on in the day, and she told me a story about she told me that Rob Ford stole your seat at a Buffalo Bills game one time.
Yeah.
She wanted me to ask you about that. Like, apparently you have season tickets for the Bills, and you just showed up and Rob Ford was in your seat.
Yeah, I don't have seasons. I don't have seasons passes, but we were touring a lot. It was a really busy time. I think Coyote just came out or was out. It was a really good year for me. And we were in Toronto, and I had the night off, and I'm a big Bills fan, and always have been ever since I was a kid. And I bought I splurged on like the VIP ticket where you get like a beer and like a pretzel and like a good seat. And I was just by myself, bought a Bills hat, and I just went to sit down, and there were these the ushers. It was like, here, let's go, man, or whatever. Okay, cool. So we went down, and this was like in the height of like the crack era, or like the crack scandal era, right? And the usher was like, the young dude, he was like, I don't know what to tell you, man, but he's like, Mayor Ford's in your seat. And I was like, I was like, oh, what? That's crazy. Like, what are the chances of that? And he's like, you cool to sit a few rows back? And I was like, totally, man. And I didn't care at all. Like, there's like, it was the whole section was open, right? I just thought it was kind of funny, like, what are the chances in the Sky Dome, right? To be in. And I just sent a tweet out just because I thought it was funny, and it was whatever. It's just a funny thing to tweet because it was just, I thought it would get just for my buds, it's a good gag or whatever.
Right.
And then it was a really life-changing evening because there's paparazzi all around me within like probably 7 minutes of putting the tweet out. I had full paparazzi going taking pictures of him and me, and like they're trying to get me to do stuff like, and I was like, no, man, I'm just trying to watch the game. Like, what? And the reporters were sitting down next to me and like the microphone, and I was like, oh, what just happened? And then my publicist, I was like, I couldn't watch the game. I was like, because I was getting swarmed with, and then I decided to leave because I was so uncomfortable, and they followed me out of the place, and they were like wanting to interview me or whatever, and I had to start running. I was like, me and my leather jacket, my bills, I was just goosing it down Blue Jay Way, and I ducked into I forget what bar it was, one of those scummy like Beaver or Moose, one of those bars or whatever, along, I don't know, Front Street or one of those. Anyways, and I just kind of hid and had a beer, and my phone was just blowing up. Like, and my publicist Julie called me, and she's like, "LA Times just retweeted you. New York Times just wrote," like, this was all within probably an hour of it happening, and she's like, do you want to run with this, or do you want to just chill out? And I was like, I don't want to be known just to be that guy or whatever. And I don't know. It would have been interesting. I told her, I said, no, I don't want to do anymore. I want my music to do my talking for me. And I don't want to, and she's the best. And she was like, totally get it. But it's interesting. I really could have really ran with it way more than I did. And, I'm just not that kind of person. I got probably $3 million worth of publicity within an hour, like internationally. It was crazy, and that was it. And everybody had a good chuckle over it for a while. He tweeted me back, and he's like, sorry, man, blah, blah, blah. And everybody's like, there's his fans of his that were like trolling me, going like, what are you doing, man? Like, just a seat, and I was, but like I said, there's tons of seats, and I didn't care at all. I just wanted to watch my Bills, man. So yeah, it finally kind of petered out, and I could be a musician again. But yeah, it was funny.
What a ridiculous
That's
thing.
The story. Yeah, that's the story. I work, since I was 14 every day on songs and learning my craft until I guess I was about 35 or whatever. So 20 years playing in front of nobody at bars every night for 10 years in a van, driving through snowstorms, eating beef jerky for 5 years after that. And then I had one tweet about the mayor, and then everybody wants to talk to me. It's so like, in the age of, and that was kind of the dawn of social media, really, as far as you could see how ridiculous something that ridiculous can get that much attention. And it's sort of like, okay, it was kind of a neat reset. It's like, this is okay, I'm gonna go this way, when a lot of people just are still every day trying to go this way with instant hits and likes and everything. I'm like, no, it's a slow burn, man. You gotta earn it. You gotta eat some, faux jerky or beef jerky, whatever your jerky choice is. You gotta kind of eat that for a while.
Yeah.
And, so it was really quite weird.
That's the epitome of society. It's just like you said, your craft or viral fame.
Yeah, totally. And the amount of noise right now is just insane. So to me, there's no choice. I ham it up online. It's just because I like doing it. I think it's funny, and I and I have got a really great group of followers that I have a good relationship with, and a lot of them have been coming on my shows since 2003. You know, it's like really, it's a really big thing in my life. If I lost them, I would feel really empty. Like it's a real family affair. So, but there's this, you know, I've been with them long enough where I don't lose them in the noise at all. You know, I've had a few trolls here and there, but I've been very lucky really with that. But it's, in this day and age, I feel so lucky that we put all those miles in, really doing it the hard way and the right way. Like it's so relieved, you know, 41. And I know I could play a show anywhere in Canada, and a lot of people would come out, and I would probably know a lot of them, and we'd have a great time, you know. And it's, you know, and it's that you can't just get that. You can get that once, but you wait 5 years and go, and again, those people are they're not coming back out to a show, you know. It's like what we've worked for, and a lot of Canadian bands over the years have, is that they can go take a break for 5 years and come back, and everybody's right there and even louder and more excited. You know, you can't buy that at all. It's so valuable and so special, you know.
Yeah, definitely. The true fans. She also mentioned, she was like, it's the ultimate act of Canadian kindness that you didn't make a fuss over him stealing your seat.
I mean, I you know, an opportunist, maybe somewhat smarter than me, would have probably got somebody to film them kicking him out, and that would have just blown the fuck up, you know. But
yeah,
I'm pretty. I don't know. Anyways, there's no way I would have done that. You know, it's not me.
Yeah.
When there's lots of seats around, it's like, okay, come on, you know.
So I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to see if you remember this. If you can see it. I don't know if you can see it.
I can't see
Let me
it.
see.
It's probably, it looks too white, like too blown out. Is it a cat? Ah, it's my hat.
Recognize that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's my old Western feathered. Yeah.
You remember losing
my
it?
Whalen. Do you have it?
My friend has it.
Yes. I thought that was long gone, man.
So my friend Ashley that I just mentioned, Ashley Kinney, she's in Calgary, and she said she got it at the Stampede.
Yeah, we played. I was thinking about that show when I was running this morning, because I jumped off a massive hay bale and I janked up my my Achilles tendon, and I feel it every time I run hills, and I thought about that show. Still worth jumping off the hay bale, but yeah, that's right. I haven't seen it since then. Well, that's great.
A stagehand handed it to her after the show, and so I was talking to her.
Oh, it was nice of him to hand it to her, not me. That's great. Nice
it's guy. Not a drumstick.
Very few cowboy hats fit my big pumpkin. That's good.
She has it. She said if you want it, she'll send it back to you.
Okay, well, I feel bad. I mean, it's hers now. She got it. You know, it's okay. It's hers now. It's all right. Maybe next time through Calgary, I can just wear it for the show. She can lease it out to me or something. But
nice.
The thing is, if I take it back, I'm just going to lose it again.
Of course.
So it's probably best just keep it in the family, and you know, she won't lose it. I will.
So she also wanted to know what it was like to share the stage with Willie Nelson at the Outlaw Music Fest.
That was such a great opportunity. My friend Jigs at Eric at Live Nation, he really threw me a bone and gave me that gig, and it was great. I didn't get to meet Willie, but just being on that bill, I mean, it's one of the most one of the most sought after, you know, tours going. It's Willie Nelson's, you know, baby, right? So it was amazing just getting to see. I mean, I've gotten to play that amphitheater a few times, but this was like, you know, it was so surreal. It was like, you knowing that Willie Nelson was going to pull up and play, and when we were over, we watched, me and a bunch of good old friends and new friends were all up on the grass watching Willie play, and it was just a surreal, you know, dream come true to say that, you know, you were on the bill with Willie Nelson. It was awesome, man. Yeah,
such a legend.
Those moments are. Yeah, especially through such a legend. Especially through like this whole COVID year, like thinking of some of the things I've gotten to do, it's like, did that like really happen? Like, because sometimes you're going, and you appreciate them, and it's like I always really try to stop and smell the roses, but when you have a year off of the global pandemic and your whole sort of all your past sort of flashes before you, it's like all those moments that I've had, it's like extra grateful for. And I have a hard time fathoming that they even happened, like it's just, it's all pretty crazy,
Yeah, I saw him back in 2014 in Virginia, and it was just he's one of those guys that when he takes the stage, you're not just kind of seeing him, you're just kind of seeing history. And I've had that experience with a few bands, like seeing Rush and Tom Petty, and like some of those real important names to me growing up that I actually got to see later in their career, not sort of in the prime, but to see them just in general was just a kind of a surreal experience. And he was one of those guys, just to see him command the stage at his age, and that old beat up guitar, and just the whole show was just a great experience. It was really cool.
I know. I mean, you listen to his albums, and I've heard some live stuff, but until you see Willie Nelson live, like he's the weirdest guitar player of all time. Yeah. Like his conviction and zero fucks given, it just like whining out the weirdest stuff. Like it works. It sounds so great, but I was like, this guy is just out to lunch. Like, what's he thinking? But it's just his conviction, and his zero, like no holds barred. Like, I'm just feeling this, and it's so I don't know. It's endearing, and it's like it's intense, but also laid back. It's just he's a real alien, that guy, man. Like it was neat to finally get to see him. I'd never seen him before that night, so it's great to see him.
He's got this sort of flow state. Like he's been doing it for so long. I mean, it's probably like breathing and speaking to him on stage. Like he doesn't have to think about shit when he's up there. He just does it.
Totally, man. Yeah,
pretty cool.
So many shows. I mean, like thousands and thousands and thousands. Yeah, crazy.
And that's part of it too. Like to see somebody, you can tell they're not thinking about what they're doing. They're just doing it. It's I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, but it. Like,
I get it. You don't have to. I think, it's just those people where it's just an extension, and it's like they have no choice but to do it, because if they stop, they would die, so you're witnessing what's keeping them alive. Right?
Yeah. He'll be 200 years old doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, totally, man. I think like that's why him and Gordon Lightfoot could be on the road that long, treat their bodies like shit for so long, because they get that that adrenaline and endorphin and oxytocin hits every night of their lives. Same with Dylan. That's got to keep you alive. That stuff. That's got to keep some youth in there and some like will to live. And like, I think it's really
Keith Richards.
Those guys. Keith, yeah, they're all, they're all just as gnarly looking now, and they're just still as good. It's just they haven't stopped. Their body's just aged, but they just that special feeling you get. I mean, it's better than any drug out there, and I think that's why they're still after it.
Yeah. And have you seen a picture of Bob Weir in the last few years?
Yeah.
Like he's jacked.
Yeah. No, how hard it would be to get jacked at that age.
Of course. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So impressive.
So it's definitely a testament to just doing what you love, and like, it's got to show that stress and things are what really age you, and like happiness is the real driving force to like a life well lived, and just health and everything like that.
I think I couldn't agree more, man. I think of that all the time. It's and stress is so obvious that it's one of the main killers, probably the biggest killer, because I think stress works on such just the deepest of level as whatever when you hear that great song With the Windows Down, and that, I don't know, the endorphins start kicking in. I think stress works as deep as that, if not deeper, and more secretive, and it's wily, and it's like it's stealthy, and it causes all sorts of strange things and just kickstarts anxiety and depression and cuts down happiness, and it makes you unsure and makes you question everything and paranoia, and it's just such, and we all have it and we all get it, and it's like it's just all these afflictions come that they don't need to, that bubble up in the weirdest ways ever that we don't even know are caused by stress. And in turn you let your guard down, and I think that's when your body sort of lets worse things in, and then it snowballs, and it's a horrible thing. And I think you're right, because I mean I get stressed about stuff and then I don't even realize I'm stressed until I take a few deep breaths and I was like, holy shit, I was just really stressed about that, or feeling like tense, clenching my jaws, or it sneaks up so fast. And then I also know the other side of that, where it's like just the best crowd ever, and it's just glee, and music is or a killer song that comes on the radio right when I'm in the right mood, all those great feelings. So it's just we all have those spectrums, and it's just trying to stay as much as you can on that. And it's so easy to say, yeah, just stay in that happy zone, because especially the older you get, all the life just pulls you, the stress in life kind of was constantly pulling you away from that. So it's my job to try to keep us all, or not us all, but myself and the people that like my music, kind of closer to that good side or whatever. And I feel like that's a good, it's sort of my mission statement, or it's like my job. It's like I got to get out of bed because I got to write some music that might make me feel better, and hopefully some other people, and keep them away from that super duper dark murmuring, gnarly force that is stress, but the older I get, the more music is more mysterious to me, and it's medicinal healing powers. I find it so weird. It's just theory. Some probably dude named it music one time, and it kind of caught on, or from it's reviews or whatever. But that was just some dude. It doesn't even need a name. It's just this thing, right? It's like somebody named oxygen, but it's just this stuff we breathe, and they kind of broke it down. But music is even more mysterious than that. They don't even know. You couldn't break it down into anything on the periodic table. It's like, it's one of the most mysterious things on earth, music, so the different vibrations.
And it affects everybody, like not just people that are brought up in these societies, but like I think they've even studied the effects on like isolated tribes and things like that. And it's like music has been so ingrained in our evolution and everything, like from prehistoric times. There's always been some type of music, and it's ingrained in our DNA.
Yeah, 100%. I find one of the most baffling things that I've ever discovered. I used to live in New York City, and I used to take this train up to the Natural History Museum of Natural History. Sorry, and you go up to, I think it's the third floor or whatever. And I used to go when it wasn't busy at all. I'd just be me in there, and you go from continent to continent, sort of, and from the beginning of time and evolution. It's really neat, but as far as they have musical instrument sections here in each from each continent, and it's insane how there's no internet or any way to or mail or honing pigeons or whatever back then. It was just the evolution of humankind happened at the same time without communication. A lot of the instruments and drums and masks and things were evolving at the same time on opposite sides of the world without communicating. They just wanted to bang on stuff and make rhythms because it made them feel. And then it came into like tones and musical notes and strings and things and medieval and blah, 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 blah. But it all happened, simultaneously, from all the way through. It was it just came from kind of out of thin air, or just the probably heartbeat, probably the familiarity of your mother's heartbeat. And it's like, everybody gets it. It's a big drum, it's a drum beat. I get it. And what's really, I find it just flabbergasted by the fact that it all happened at the same pace around the world, and you see it before your eyes there in glass cases. It's just like, well, that drum looks like that drum, and they made them at the same time. Like, without being in contact, you know. So I mean, all signs point to awesome when it comes to music. You know, it's always been awesome. It always will be awesome. You know, it's like, and it always will be. Nobody will ever be able to define it. Not one scientist in year 3000 is ever going to be able to like, that's what music is. Like, no way. You know, and that's why it's so weird. It's very humbling. I feel like, you know, it's weird to do it for a living, and I do it for a living, just to say, this is my job or whatever, but it's much more than that for me, you know. And I don't dwell on it. I often ponder about how mysterious it is, and you know, and then back to shows, it's like then that connection, it's the music that forms it, that familiarity of that feeling. That's why the crowds, that's why we go to shows as an audience, and that's what the musician brings, and is that mutual ground of mysterious awesomeness and love and power and everything, you know. So I mean, I think to move along into today's times, I think that's why a lot of people, I think, are like, oh, music's still going to be the same again. I think it's going to be better. I mean, it's going to be different. Shows are going to be different, but I think I think any music lover who goes to shows a lot or doesn't even, and they're going to hear like a loud band and being with people and like connecting like that, it's going to be a whole new level of like, there's going to be gratitude involved this time. Like, this could go away tomorrow. I'm like, wow, this is a moment. So I'm really hopeful that that people are gonna like, yeah, you might get cooties, but there's a vaccination for it. I think I'm gonna take my chances and go see a rock show or a hip hop show or whatever, and I need to feel that, you know, and reflect and all that important stuff that we're all missing right now. We're all obviously missing it because we're all going bananas, you know.
Yep, definitely bananas. It's like, I love talking to you about like how passionate you are about music and just how much it really is your whole life. And what sparked that? Like, do you remember, like, was it a concert you went to when you were young? Was it something you saw? Like, when did you make that switch of like, oh, this is it, this is what I want my whole life to be about?
I think like it was weird. I was just playing guitar downstairs, and just like it hit a minor chord. This is like a major and a minor chord, and it just really made me feel a lot. Two chords that I always play, but the certain guitar and amp, but mostly just the way the chords played or something. And then the mood I was in, I was like, I still feel exactly the same feeling I did when I was 14 with, you know, the first time I played probably maybe those two chords or recorded on my 4-track. Something happened when I picked up a guitar, and I could hear emotion within something that wasn't a human, like the way strings ring out from like say an A to an F sharp minor or something, or a C to an E minor or whatever. Like it's just like this. It's like a whole movie plays out in my head when I hear that just two chords change. And that's when it really happened, when I could control those feelings, and anytime I get them back, and I could pick up a guitar and get them back anytime I wanted. So thus didn't put a guitar down, and I still haven't. You know, I play guitar every day just because I get a little fix of those feelings. And then every now and again, you're like, boom, you hit like this like the melody over those chords that adds more feeling, and then boom, you get words that like work over it, and then all of a sudden you have this song, and then boom, you're on stage and the people really like it and they sing it back, and then it's like right. And then the first time I was playing like an open mic, and there's some people that knew the song for the first time singing with me a song that I wrote, and it was sort of like next level of like, oh, this is really crazy and interesting, and I'm good at it, because I wasn't really good in school, and I'm from Cole Harbour, which is the home of hockey, and I never played hockey, and I wasn't very, you know, I just wanted to play my guitar. So just to have a feeling of importance and a place, you know, I was the guy, the Wrigley's or the Juicy Fruit guy at the party all through high school with the guitar. I'd bring it everywhere with me, and that was sort of it. But it was just that being able to be the creator of a feeling or a painting or a movie, or in my mind a feeling or whatever. That to me was like, this is insane, and it was really addicting, and it was, I have like, attention issues, and we all have our afflictions that I think work in a really good way for what you do. So for me, I was bad at math, but I could really pay attention to writing a song. I would start in the morning, and I didn't even get up to piss all day. I would just write the song, and it worked for me on that level as well. I thought I was really slow in school, and affected my confidence and stuff because I couldn't pay attention. But then I found like, hyperactive focus was really good for me, and just writing songs and in the studio, it's like my superpower now, where once when I was in high school, it was really working against me, so I think all of those things combined really kind of gave me my trajectory into doing it full time, and being able to be like, yeah, I don't care, let's go through the snowstorm, I got to play the show. I just like to do what I think a lot of people might not want to do. It's just no choice, got to play the show tonight, or got to go in the studio, or we're not going home, we have to finish that part, or whatever. All that stuff incrementally adds up to just a life of music, I think.
And did you ever finish When Angels Make Contact, like the film?
No, we shot a bunch of stuff, and then I realized that movies were way harder than albums. So no, and I like the idea of the album was more mysterious and everything. I kind of was like, no, let's just chill out, man. This is kind of cool. And we did the teaser and the tour, and I think I'd really like to try to do that tour again someday, like just tour that album. But yeah, no, it was sort of, I have a hard time just working on something for a long time. I like to bang it out and then like, what's next,
Right.
Yeah, movies aren't my thing. I just, they take years to do one movie. So
that's a wicked concept album though.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really proud of that one. I was young when we made it, and I didn't want to be pigeonholed as what I, just sort of like a country rocker guy. I wanted to get weird, and Jim Baker, who produced it with me, he was really a great influence on me in different genres and things. And it was really, I was sleeping in my car outside the studio the whole time, or in the studio, wherever. It was a real, it was a real ordeal, that album. We really lived and breathed it. Yeah. So I appreciate you saying that, man.
It's still got a couple staples like that I revisit all the time. Midnight is the Time, and
Midnight is the Time.
Under My Senses are two of my favorites from that album, just off the top of my head. I love that album. Thanks,
man. And those are the two that, like, they're the deeper cuts off of there. So it's nice to hear you say that. But yeah, it was sort of fun to be in a really great studio like the Sonic Temple and have a bit of time in there. And Darren Van Niekerk, he's like such a killer engineer. He engineered a lot of those albums, and we were super close, and we would go super late and just experimenting like that. It was the first time I got to do that, where it's not just like some shitty demo. It's like you're in a really great studio, and these are sounding good. And Darren was super quick at editing and whatever. And Tim and I were just the weirdos up there making sounds, and it was just super creative and fun to do that record, because we were like, okay, this needs a kind of an overture song, or this needs a slow jam, or this needs this. We got to fill in the hole. So we kind of knew what we needed. So we weren't really sitting around scratching our heads very much. We were just like, next, let's do this or whatever. It was great. So, yeah, so fun.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because whenever I think of you, that's kind of the album that I think of. Actually, like I said, I love it. I could babble about it all day, but
thanks, man.
You mentioned there was a few jogging pants days with Netflix over the quarantine. Any shows that you'd recommend watching, or is anything you liked over the break?
Yeah, the trick is, I'm glad I came up with this idea, because it was really helpful when with the first lockdown. I'd never seen The Sopranos, and I never said that out loud to anybody, because everybody's like, what? when I did start watching them, I always tell people, and they're like, "Oh man, you're in for a treat," kind of thing. So I just power watched Sopranos. Yeah, I've seen everything, I think. But what I'm really into right now, and I think it's a real comfort zone for me because it's always on. Like when I'm touring, it's always on in the hotel, and I love it. Is Murdoch Mysteries. I
Classic.
love. It's so good, man. I'm on season 8 right now. I've been watching it all for the last probably 2 months. Every night before I go to bed, it's like Murdoch, 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 Crabtree. Like it's so good and it's so awesome. Like it's so ridiculous sometimes. Like Murdoch like invent the internet one night in like 1904, or like he invented like the slippery curling shoe the other night. I was like, yeah, it's my boy Murdoch curling shoe, and I get really into it. Like I don't laugh at it. I'm like, yeah, man, the boys are
Fuck
gonna
yeah.
invent something. Yeah, boom. It's just everything. I think Crabtree invented pizza. It's awesome, man. So that's
Suspend
sort of my real.
disbelief.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous, and I watch it so much that I feel like they're my family. Chief Chief Inspector Brackenreed is like, he cracks me up so much. He says bloody hell 8 times an episode. It's just like, it's so great. The cast is so likable, and it's just like safe, and it's like, what adventure are we going on tonight, man? Because sure as hell I'm not going on an adventure tonight. So it's great. Yeah, mad props to Murdoch and the gang.
That's hilarious.
And uh William Murdoch is his character is from Nova Scotia too. He's a East Coaster.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Crabtree's Newfoundlander too. So
Interesting.
it's nice. Yeah. Anyways, I can't stop thinking about it.
That's hilarious. So any plans, like right now, I know everything's still uncertain, but do you have any tour plans or anything like that you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised more musicians in Canada at least aren't. My bud Benno from Colorado, he went to East Coast. He went to the East Coast this fall and went and took advantage of the bubble being open. A bunch of great little venues, doing a few night stands. Taking advantage of the fact it's just this, safe place to go and play and do your thing. But nobody except him did it. I'm looking forward to going back to the East Coast this summer, and we're going to be doing the Shore Club again, God willing. If things stay open and safe, for sure. But yeah, we usually put some shows around that and just do a little maritime rip, which is going to be awesome, and just try to play as many shows as we can with the safe amount of people, and do a few night stints here, and I think from there, hopefully within the next year, things will start creeping open a bit, and if I have to do whatever, I don't care. If
Anything.
it's a 100-seat place and 400 people want to come to shows, I'll do 4 nights. If the venue will have us, like I'm down to just get in front of people and play music, so that's the plan. So it's just, I mean, we're obviously at the mercy of this weird garbage 19 or whatever, but once it's opened up, I'm cool. I'm expecting it to be a gradual, opening back into some semblance of reality and normalcy.
Hopefully some outdoor things can happen now that there's with the vaccines and a little bit more knowledge and preparation. Hopefully.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I think when sort of like the first half of these vaccinations get out, there's this omnipresent sort of concern for the elderly and compromised, and I think once they're covered and safe, I think that alone will help with a lot of just a little bit of the weight off, and then I think it'll be good for mental health, and then from then on it'll be gradually, God willing or whatever, it'll all start opening up. But I think the outdoor thing will happen a bit when I think that the people in any kind of danger from this thing, statistically in danger, will be covered. I think that's going to really kick a few doors open.
Yeah,
I hope.
Fuck, man, I hope so.
Yeah,
like everybody does, really. It goes without saying at this point, and has for far too long. So
Yeah.
I hope you get a chance to tour for your sake and for my sake, and I hope I get to see you in the near future.
Yes, for sure, man. Yeah, come back and have a beer for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for doing this.
No problem, man. I really enjoyed the talk, man. Yeah, it was great. Great hang. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And
No sweat, man.
See you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you down that old dusty trail, as they say.
The dusty trail.
Take care, brother.
Cheers.